Hello, I wanted to give an update on the Great Homework Experiment. Either at the end of last semester or in between, I'd been reflecting about the purpose and effectiveness of homework for some time. Of course, with teachers, it's an ongoing conversation. And so I set up what would be an experiment for my upcoming classes, because at the school that I'm at, we change classes at the semester break. So I got new students in January. And so what I decided was that I would assign homework and it would be graded. That grade would be recorded in the grade book, but I would mark it so that the grade would not actually affect the course average. And I had some ideas about what I might see and was curious whether my own thoughts would be borne out, what else I might notice. So here's what I've seen. First of all, there has been a correlation between students who completed homework and students who have performed well in class. However, that raises an important question. The students who chose to complete these optional homework assignments were among those who had demonstrated higher levels of skill on diagnostic assessments at the start of the term. Basically, the students who most needed more practice chose not to do it, and those who chose to do it didn't need the practice as much. That was pretty much about what I expected. However, something of interest to me was that among the students with higher levels of skill, those who completed the optional homework showed more improvement in their skills than those who didn't. This bears out previous research that indicates that students who, in high school, students who complete homework tend to do better academically. But the question that this made me think about was, does this mean that their skills improved more or that they became more proficient at how they showed that ability? Basically, how much of that was an improved understanding of these types of assignments and of my expectations as a teacher? On the other hand, understanding what is expected of you and how you can meet those expectations, that's not part of our standards, but it's an important skill to be able to learn. So whether or not it's actually improving the academic standard skill that we're learning in English class, they do still seem to be learning something of value. One of the challenges that occurred was that participation dropped as the term continued. The first week that I offered homework assignments that would be graded, not counted in the course average, almost half the students turned them in anyhow. I did not expect that. Then there was a sharp drop to about 30% the next week. And that makes me think that maybe some students did not understand until they actually saw in the gradebook that their peers that did not complete the homework got a 0 for it. It didn't hurt their average. So for the next 3 weeks, participation held steady at about 30%, and then there was another decline to 12% in the 5th week and 5% in the 6th week. During the following 2 weeks, nobody did the optional homework assignments, so I stopped using them and pretty much decided that the experiment had kind of concluded itself. Finishing up with thoughts, I am still pro homework in high school, especially if it can be made minimally burdensome for the student, offering them a chance to just get a little bit of skills practice and reflect on what happened in class that day. But it's important for teachers to keep their expectations for students completing the homework and how much they're actually going to learn from it. Need to keep those expectations low. I'm still pretty solid on not attaching a grade that's going to affect the course average, but if you can get your community to donate to your classroom, a minor bribe like a sticker or a piece of candy might be a good incentive. This could be especially effective early on to establish the sense that thinking about our learning and practicing our skills, this is something we do, because that's something that can be done with in front of the whole class to students who participate. Other students see that and go, And I really don't think that that sort of extrinsic motivator is necessarily bad. It's certainly not any worse, and I would say better than the extrinsic motivator of a grade, because it's definitely non-punitive. Anybody can do it, and if you make the homework non-burdensome, it's more of a matter of a non-graded reward for participation, for being part of that learning community. So that's where my thinking is going now. It's also important to keep in mind that students, especially at the high school level, often have extensive responsibilities and commitments outside of school. Nearly all of the students that I teach are either involved in sports or in a club. sometimes more than one, or they have a job, or as an older sibling or cousin, they have family responsibilities for which they're not even getting paid. I think it's understandable that given all of these other demands on their time outside of school, they're kind of reluctant to use any of that limited time on doing more work for school. I know that one of the reasons that teachers and parents want students to have homework is that in college, students are actually in class significantly less, and they have to do more work reading, completing assignments, and studying outside of class time. However, I have significant doubts that simply assigning homework is actually effective preparation for this. The school I'm teaching at offers dual enrollment courses. Upon successful completion, the student earns both college credit and high school credit. The instruction is set up much more like a university course. Classes that meet in person have 2 80-minute instructional periods each week with the college instructor, while online courses are asynchronous. However, in both cases, students are assigned to a classroom with a high school teacher Monday through Friday, just as though they were in a regular class. With a permission slip signed by a parent or guardian, students are not required to attend in person, but that extra support is there for those who would benefit from it. I'm hopeful that these sort of intermediate courses provide a little bit more of a stepping stone to a college environment, which is very different from a high school environment. It's a big transition, and there are many students who don't make it successfully. As I look back over the optional homework I made available for students, I think that I want to finish up by having all of my students complete a survey that asks them to reflect on this work, but also the classwork, why they chose to participate in the optional homework or not, what skills they believe they used in completing the assignments that they did. It also might be helpful to ask about their other classes and their extracurricular activities, the amount and type of homework that's assigned, and their perception of its purpose. I think all of this would be helpful to allow me a way to interpret some of the results that I've seen and maybe keep thinking forward. As always, I enjoy reflecting on my practice and learning new things. I hope that some of these thoughts were helpful for you. And if you have any thoughts that you want to share with me about homework, you know what to do. Leave me a comment. See you next time.